Versa Best Company.
Versa Business System.
It's a better
Versa Business System.
Versa Business System.
Shine.
Welcome to the Versa Business Tips Podcast. I'm your host, founder, and CEO of Versa Business Systems, Shaheen Mazloom. We're here with a serial entrepreneur today, James Brown, founder and CEO of the Business Accelerator Institute. How you doing today, James?
I'm good, Shaheen. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us today. So for those out there that don't know who you are and what Business Accelerator does, tell us a little about yourself and what your company helps people with.
Absolutely. So I started when I was in high school. I knew I wanted to go to law school. Most people don't know that early, but I did. Right. I couldn't tell you why, but I did. And my passion for accomplishing things started that early because I announced to my parents I was going to get married at 19.
Wow.
And they all said, "You're not going to finish school. You're not going to succeed." And I'm like, "Yes, I will." And so I graduated law school. During that time, I worked on the assembly line at General Motors. I literally built 528 cars a day.
Wow.
And read my law books in between cars. And so right when I was passing the bar, General Motors closed the plant. And I had a 5-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 1-year-old.
Wow.
And I'm like, I sent out 250 resumes and I got 0 response. Right. And in hindsight, I wouldn't have hired me either. No legal experience. So it forced me to start my own business.
Yeah.
And when I first started, we were getting very mediocre results because what did I do? I just copied what everybody else is doing.
Yep.
And I started getting the same kind of results. And then I started studying human buying behavior and what makes people take action. And I changed up my marketing message. In the first week that I ran the new ads, we signed 68 clients that week.
Wow.
Then it went to 72 the next week and 63 the third week. And I'm like, holy crap, right? Now I had to start thinking about systems and people and all of that stuff so that we don't implode.
Right.
And so almost like initiation by fire.
Yeah.
I was thrown into having to create a successful business just like that, right?
Right.
And I think one of the things I learned in that process was rule number 1 is be different. Just be different.
100%.
Right? So here's the thing, though, Shaheen, is practicing law was just a vehicle. Right. I loved building the businesses. And so my kids didn't want to go to law school and I didn't have any partners. So I told my wife, I said, I don't want to practice law past the age of 50. And so I sold the firm in 2014 when I was 49 and went into consulting.
Nice.
And since then,
if you don't mind me asking, what did you sell the company for?
It sold for, I built the firm to about $8 million a year. We had offices in St. Louis, Detroit, Kansas City, and Miami. And I ended up selling it for right around $10 million.
There you go. Not a bad exit.
Yeah. So that's all sitting there for when I retire. But I know I couldn't sit still, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Since then, I've worked with over 450 business owners that are struggling, right?
Yeah.
Most of the time, the business owners, they have this, they're working for somebody else. And they have what's called the entrepreneurial brain fart, right? In the E-myth. And they think, oh, I can go out and do this. Why do I want to work for him? I can do it on my own.
Yeah.
But they don't realize all the things that goes in to make it a successful, profitable, repeatable business, right?
Yep.
And so they jump in and they're a great technician but they're not the entrepreneur. They're not the manager. They don't know how to
Right.
manage people. They don't know how to hire and manage ratios on your P&L and those kinds of things.
Yeah.
So I step in and I help people do that. And usually with the business that I start working with, we'll have anywhere from 60 to 100 to 150% growth in revenue while maintaining the bottom line, which is important because otherwise, what the hell's the point?
Absolutely.
You know? And so that's kind of what my niche has been. And so I now, have started Business Accelerator Institute so I can even help more people.
Very cool. Very cool. So you started consulting with small, medium-sized businesses. Obviously, you were successful as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. It's funny you say that you sent out your resume and you decided, well, nobody's going to hire me. I got to do this on my own, right? And you make up a few great points. One being you got to be unique, right?
Yes.
Like nobody wants to do business with the same guy that they did business with last time, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't be looking for someone new to do business with.
Right.
They would continue using that same guy. It's funny. There's a lot of coaches and consultants right out there that don't reinvent the wheel. Someone successful has already done it. Like, no, you have got to be unique. You got to be authentic. You got to be yourself. If you're trying to be someone else, you're not being yourself. You're not being authentic, and people can sense that. People can tell, right? So what are the most common mistakes that you're seeing, specifically with startups or early on in business? Are there specific trends that you're seeing or specific mistakes you're seeing people making that's preventing them from having a scalable or working business?
Yeah, I think that in order to truly blow a business up, you almost have to be like a service industry interrupter.
Yeah.
Right. I think Elon Musk is an interrupter.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
For sure.
And across many different businesses that he has. But most business owners, it's not going to be to that status where we're interrupting. Right. So now we have to enter a market that has all kinds of competition. And one of the mistakes that I made and that I see a lot of people making is they'll just watch what everybody else is doing as far as marketing and how they do intake and how they do sales and all of that. And they will just do the same thing, right?
Yeah.
And here's what I learned when I studied the human buying process was when we as human beings have a problem, our brain is always looking for a solution. Like 24/7, even when we're sleeping. That's why sometimes we sit up in the middle of the night and we have an idea, right?
Yeah.
And so when your brain is looking for a solution and it does a search, let's say on Google, and all of the options look the same.
Yeah.
Right? You could cross out the business names and not tell them apart. When that happens, the brain's default is lowest price.
Yeah.
And so now you get a lot of businesses that are competing on price, and that's just a race to the bottom of the barrel.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep.
So how can you be different? I was searching in Miami a couple of years ago for a divorce lawyer, and the top 3 pay-per-click results came up. And the first one said, top rated Miami divorce lawyer. The second one said, AV rated Miami family law lawyer. And the third one said, is he sleeping with her right now? And I'm like, wow. Right. And it was a firm that only represents women in divorce.
Wow.
And I guarantee you, just by having that different headline, they were out pulling those other 2.
Oh, yeah.
And so really having the courage to think outside the box. And if you don't know how to do that, find somebody who does.
Yeah.
Like either a mastermind group or find a mentor that's done it before and latch onto them and just reinvent.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's funny. When I started my company, it was the same thing. The first 30 days, we tried to do it like everyone else, and we failed miserably. We did not do anything. And so after 30 days, I said, you know what? I'm going to do it my way, the way that everybody's told me will never work. Because what do I have to lose? I've only got another 30 days left of capital. So if I don't make it work in the next 30 days, I'm out of business anyway.
Yeah.
And we decided to do things completely different. And by month 2, we're closing at a 50% closing ratio in an industry that has a 10% closing ratio average. And it's because we did things completely different.
Yeah.
And we continue to do them different. Now, we've had some people try to copy and, but they'll never be us because they're not being themselves.
Yeah.
Right. So it's never been, we've never had anybody be able to copy what we do and replicate the same results.
Yeah.
Right. And then now it's just trying to figure out ways to keep doing things differently and to add things in the mix that others aren't doing and to really try and stand out in the industry. As far as I know, I don't see any other business funders or credit card processing companies that have a podcast. There
No.
might be some, but I've never come across any. And people ask me all the time, like, why do you do that? Why do you give out this free information when you could be selling courses and and have this what's it called, community where people pay to get into and
Mm-hmm.
pay to be able to get the information? I'm like, because I'm not doing it for money.
Yeah.
I just want as many people to know who Versa Business Systems is as possible. But I also want them to know that we actually give a shit. We want to
Yes.
help people, right? It's not just about making money for us. That's why everybody else is in existence. In B2B, for the most part, most of it is about greed, especially in the business funding and credit card processing space. They
Yeah.
can be very lucrative businesses. Don't get me wrong, they're lucrative. We don't make as much money as everybody else, but we do a lot more business,
Sure.
right?
I mean, one of the things my wife told me a long time ago was you do what's right, and at the end of the day, the money will follow.
100%.
And that's why I've always lived my life and my businesses that way.
Yep. My parents have told me that my whole life. I remember as a kid, we're on a road trip. So we're originally from England. England's the size of Delaware. So when we moved to America, it's like road trip, right? We
Yeah.
wanted to see the whole country. And we were on a road trip. I was probably 8 or 9 years old, and my dad had always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Never actually decided to pull the trigger. He had kids young, got married young, and had great jobs. He had a great career. Worked for Cargill for 20 years, and was head of business development for them and Purdue Chicken and some pretty large companies. And
Mm-hmm.
he said if we could build a family business, surrounded about with just helping people, what would it be? And as a kid, you think of helping people of giving stuff away, right? Giving
Mm-hmm.
to the poor, giving clothes off your back, feeding the homeless, right? Things like that. But there's millions of ways to help people and charge a fair price for helping people, right? In a way that
Correct.
makes sense, right? If you're able to help someone put $10,000 a month back into their pocket, don't charge them $10,000 a month, right? Like, it's got to make sense. It's got to make perfect sense. But also don't do everything for free because you got to make money too. It's a
Right.
business. But you can have something within your business that gives something away for free
Oh,
to help people.
absolutely.
Why not? Why not? Everything doesn't have to be about money. Like this podcast brings us customers. It brings us
Right.
referral partners. And that in turn brings money, right? So our
Yep.
gift and our service is the podcast, and the money comes through other fashions
Yeah.
because of it. And it's always going to be like that. They say what goes around comes around. 100% true.
Yep.
100% true. And I think a lot of business owners miss that in the beginning, right? I think a lot of people become entrepreneurs because they see the dollar signs. Like,
Right.
ooh, I want to be the top dog. I want to make the most money. But they also don't realize that in order to do that, you got to also work the hardest.
Well, and I think if they wrap their mind around, if they have a mindset shift around the fact that every business solves a problem for somebody, right?
Yep. That's all
So
business is.
if you can figure out a way to help more people solve problems, right, now you're going to grow your business.
Yep.
Myself, I started in St. Louis. We were doing 3 to 4 clients a week, and then we figured out how to do 60, 70 clients a week, and then we went to Detroit and we're doing 150 clients a week,
That's a lot.
and now I've helped over 450 business owners help more people. Right? So that circle that you keep helping keeps expanding.
Yeah.
And the rest will take care of itself.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's pretty neat how that happens, right? When you help a business learn something to be able to expand their business, they tell that to 3 other people, and then those people tell that to 3 other people, and boom, 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 and next thing you know, you have this huge trickle effect. And it's,
Yes.
we may not get to see it all, but we know it's happening, right? We know it's happening. Somebody taught me the things that I know, that I constantly am teaching to our clients and my employees and everybody that I meet. And it's just really cool to think about it when you think about the economy as a whole, that it's like just this one big, but there's got to be the right information. Unfortunately, with social media, there's so much bad information out there.
Oh my, yep.
Just trying to get people's attention. You've got those guys that are, they have these private jet studios now, so you can literally rent a studio that looks like it's a private jet.
Oh,
and
really?
these gurus are going into the pretending like they're on a private jet, and you can always tell because like the windows are way bigger than they're supposed to be. Like things just don't. The aisles are like massive. Like, dude, what are you in a 757? Like,
Yeah.
But yeah, there's just a lot of and it's unfortunate because people get blinded by some of these opportunities out there that make it seem like you can make it quick, make it quick, and there's easier ways to make money, and this, that, and the other. So a lot of people give up because they're like, oh, there's got to be an easier way. This guy I saw the other day got 10 Airbnb properties, and now he's got this, that, and the other. And it's like, dude, it all starts with hard work.
It does. It's easy to see the end result, but you don't see everything that goes into that, right?
No, it's a 10-year overnight success.
Yeah.
So when you're meeting with a business, they come to you and say, "Look, James, I don't know what I'm doing wrong here. Take a look at my business. What are you diving into first? Is it personnel? Is it sales? Is it marketing? How does that process look?"
Yeah, the first thing that I want to do is find out why they're doing what they do. Right? I want to know if they have a strong why. Yeah, what's their strong why?
Are they even passionate about what they're doing? Because if they're not, they're in the wrong business.
If they're not, they're in the wrong business. And when things get tough, and they will, then you don't have nothing to anchor it to.
Yep. The only thing that's going to pull you out is the passion. Yep.
Right. So that's number one, is why are you doing this?
Yep.
And then I go from that to asking them, let's talk about you and your family. How much do you need to make from this business in 2025, 2026, whatever the year is, in order to live the life you want to live?
Yeah.
How much is that going to cost you? Whatever it is. And I don't want you to edit yourself.
Yeah.
Just what is it? Maybe you want a second house on a beach somewhere. You want to be able to travel by private jet, whatever it is. Put that. What is your number?
Right.
Okay. And then
if
once
they
we
can't
have,
tell you, I gotta ask you something. Do most people know they're not, like, I know my number. Mine's 22.4 million. I need to make 22.4 million per month in order to live the life that I want to live.
Yeah, most people don't know that number.
Most people don't know that, right?
And that's another big mistake.
Do you think that's important to know? You think that's
it is.
A really thing? You got to have an end goal, right? Like, where are you trying to get to? Now, will I be happy with more? Yeah. But I've calculated every little thing I want, from my nieces and nephews' college funds to being able to get them cars when they turn 16 to, when I say everything, I mean pages upon pages upon pages upon pages, and calculated it down to, living till I'm 65. God forbid I don't die at 65, but let's say I only live till 65. How much do I need to make per month until the age of 50, right? To be able to live those last 15 years with a mag.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one of the mistakes that people will make a lot is they don't think big enough,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
right? And
100%.
so when I get that number from them and I have them go through an exercise where they literally put down all their current expenses and then what they want to do next year and travel and all this other stuff, and we figure out what that's going to cost, then I look at their current business net margin, right? And I'm like, okay, so you want to make $500,000 next year. This is like a small business, right? They're doing maybe 300, 500,000 a year. I said, you personally want to make 500,000 next year. So if you have a 20% margin, then your firm needs to make your business needs to make 2.5 million in order for you at a 20% margin to pull 500,000 out. So now how are we going to make 2.5 million? What's your average sale value?
Right.
Right. Now we know how many sales we need.
Yep.
What's your conversion rates?
Exactly.
Now we can
it's math and science.
It's reverse
right?
engineering.
100%. You got to reverse engineering. Like, where do we need to get to? I know in order to really, I have two numbers.
Mm-hmm.
So one number is where I need to hit the lifestyle I want. The other one is if I want to go as far as I think I can go, that's another number, right? Now that number is 10 billion.
So
right?
We have our goal and we have our stretch goal.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that's a good idea to have as a goal and then a
100%?
Yeah.
Yep. Because a lot of times people, when I say they don't think big enough, they choose a conservative goal.
Yeah.
Right. So I talk to them about a stretch goal. What's going to make you uncomfortable?
Right. Super
right?
uncomfortable.
When you get too comfortable, you settle for things.
Yeah. 5 years ago, mine was $1 billion, and I've moved it to 10 because I've seen what's possible.
Yeah.
Right. Like when you don't realize what is really, and I think a big part of it is people don't realize how much wealth is really out there. Right. So like they hear this thing like, some people start to hear millionaire. Right. So like when I used to think of millionaire, I'm like, it's like a myth, like one out of every 10 people you walk past in the street is a millionaire. Yep. Right. Like there's 20 million new millionaires created every year. Right. 20 million. That's your whole state. You know what I mean? Maybe not your whole state, but that's a major metropolitan area, right?
Yeah.
Or two. And then you start thinking billionaires. Like, oh man, that seems no, but there's I've got a ton of billionaires in my phone, right? Mm-hmm. If I've got 15 billionaires in my phone, imagine how many billionaires are out there, right? You know what I mean? It's like you start to realize what's really out there. And the guy that made this computer screen, and the guy that owns the company that did this laptop, and the guy that did this ring light, and this, all the things around you, right? Like somebody has made billions of dollars off of this stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
they have.
Well, it's the think big is a big one. I had to cut out most of the people that I know because they cannot fathom what I'm trying to do.
Yeah,
and so it just becomes like a frustrating conversation.
It's the limiting beliefs that hold people back.
100%.
I tell people all the time, most people doubt their beliefs and they believe their doubts.
I love that.
Flip it around. Start believing your beliefs and doubt every doubt that comes up. Because a lot of times when you have a doubt and you really take a step back and you look at it, is there facts that support this doubt? No, there's not. That's just a terror barrier, and now we can break through it.
Exactly.
And that's really the biggest thing that holds business owners back is the mindset.
Yeah, 100%. So you break down their goal, you reverse engineer everything. Now you figured out, okay, they need this many sales. To do this many sales, they need this many employees. To get this many employees, they need this much in payroll, blah, 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 blah.
Yes.
And then from there, you're putting a plan together based on what they have now? Or is it like, hey, your marketing is tapped out? Like, we got to figure out a better way to market or a better way to sell, or, and you're just kind of diving into different areas to figure out how to make that work, right?
Yeah. What I typically do is look at what they're doing now and how many leads it's bringing in. And then I look at our plan, and let's say we need 75% more leads. Okay. Well, is your current channels, can we expand any of them to produce more leads? Like
Right.
on pay-per-click, what is your impression share percentage? Can we raise the budget and create more leads? And if we look like we're saturated in some of those, then we have to start thinking about new lead sources.
Right.
And one of the things I tell business owners is a lot of people do this the wrong way, but they choose the lead source before they really understand their avatar and where they get their information from.
100%.
Right. And so all that is throwing money against a wall and see what sticks. And that's gambling.
And usually
to me.
throwing it in the trash.
Right. So we don't gamble with our dollars. Right. So I learned that years ago, and I started asking prospects when they came in. I was like, I was in a mastermind group, and they said, "Oh, we're killing it on radio." Right. So I just went back and I threw $5,000 on radio, and I got nothing.
Yeah.
Not a thing.
Yeah.
And I just did the same stations they did. So I copied what they were doing.
Yeah.
But then I started asking prospects, "Do you listen to the radio?" They're like, "Yeah." I go, "What stations?" And two stations kept coming up, right? Jazz and an urban contemporary station. So I'm like, took that same $5,000 and put it there, and the phones just rang off the hook, right? And that taught me that you need to understand where your perfect client gets their information from
where
before you choose marketing channels.
Yeah, 100%.
Right.
100%. And there's enough studies and data out there, but you can't always trust it.
Right.
You can't. I mean, most of the time it's the marketing company that's telling you, "Oh yeah, this is the best place to put it." Why are they telling you that? Because that's probably where they make the most commission. You know
Correct.
what I mean? And you're absolutely right. I mean, it doesn't hurt you to send out a simple email or text to all your current clients. Say, "Hey, what's the top 3 TV shows or streaming apps that you watch movies?
Are you
whatever.
on social media? Well, what social media are you on? Facebook? Are you on TikTok? Are you on Instagram?
One thing that I always, and I've thought this for a long time. I started this podcast a year ago. I always thought if you own a business, you must be smart and you must be on every single social, not so much smart, but you're on all social medias, because why would you not be?
Right.
Because you advertise on every social media. If you're a business owner, you're on every social media platform. I started doing this podcast. I think maybe 2 of my 64 guests so far had more than 2 social media platforms. They all had LinkedIn, and a good amount of them had either TikTok, Facebook, or Instagram. But 99% of them only had 2.
Yeah.
They're not on, multiple, so it was mind blowing to me. Everybody's always told me to do LinkedIn marketing. I've never liked LinkedIn because anytime I've messaged someone on LinkedIn, they're just trying to sell me their stuff.
Right.
But that's not LinkedIn marketing, is it?
No.
And so when I realized this, I'm like, why am I not marketing on LinkedIn? And we started doing it very small. And I mean, it's like night and day.
Yeah.
It's night and day compared to anything else we've ever done.
Yeah.
And, if I had just taken the time to ask our 1,000 clients that we had 3 years ago, I could have asked 1,000 clients.
Yep.
Hey, what social media platforms are you guys on?
Yeah.
And we would have been advertising there years ago.
And see, when we do that, we're actually tilting the odds in our favor, right? And now it's not so much gambling with our marketing dollars.
Exactly.
And we test small.
Yep.
And then we get the numbers dialed into where we want them, and then we expand our budget from there. Yep. So that's exactly what I work with people. And then you're right. The next thing I'm looking at is, look, if we triple sales, how's your factory?
Right.
Are you going to implode your factory? And do you have the people to staff the factory?
Right.
Right. What's their capacity level? And at what point do we need to hire the next person, and which person is it?
Yep.
So going through all of that with them, where they're really thinking about all
So now
7
they've
parts
got a
of their
full
business.
plan of
Yes.
every part of the business to be able to get to that end goal. And once they get closer to that goal, now we expand it even further.
Correct.
Right? Is the goal, maybe the goal is to get to a certain income and give it away, or is the goal to exit? I think a lot of business owners don't even know if that, do they want to exit, or do they want to keep the business around for their kids? Like, they haven't even decided that. And it's like, dude,
That's
you don't
another
even
thing
know
I
where you're
ask them,
going.
right?
You don't
What's
even know
the
where you're
what's
going.
Yeah, what's the end game?
Yeah. Like,
You
when you
know,
get in your car, if you don't know where you're going, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah. With me, I didn't have any partners in the law firm, and my kids didn't go to law school. So my end game was sell the firm.
Yeah.
So I built it in such a way where I maximized the value, and I did that through systems.
Yeah.
So that when I walk away, whoever's buying it is buying systems from marketing all the way to the end, and it was
Yeah.
under a trade name, so it wasn't tied to me.
Yeah.
And now they're buying something that had a lot more value.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of
100%.
what I'm doing now. My end game now is building a legacy
Yeah.
for grandkids and beyond. And this is just one part of it.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. So what do you have for our, a lot of our guests give something to our listeners and our viewers to help them expand their business. What do you have for them, and how can they learn more about what your company does and get involved in your in Business Accelerator Institute?
Absolutely. So they can always go to our website, which is businessaccelerator.institute.
Okay.
And I've built out a landing page just for your listeners.
Great.
So we'll have a link for that. They can go there, and I've got a free download that they can get. It's called Top 10 Mistakes That Will Destroy Your Business. And it's things that I've witnessed through the over 400 companies I've worked with that keep coming up.
Right.
Right. And so those are addressed, and how to avoid them or how to fix them if you've already done it.
Right.
So that's a free download.
Awesome.
And then there'll be all kinds of resources on there where they can watch videos or see. I'm going to put some mini workshops on there, things like that. So it'll constantly be evolving.
Very cool. Awesome. James, it's been a pleasure talking to you. I love what you're doing, what you're building. It's a nice thing to be able to wake up and help people, and that's how you make a living, isn't it?
It is. It's great, Shaheen. I really enjoyed you having me on today.
Absolutely. Enjoyed having you. Thanks, James.
Thank you, sir.